This week on the Mindful Men podcast.
Let's get into epigenetics. And for anyone who isn't really sure what it is, and we've touched on it a little bit, but can you describe it for us and for me? Because I really don't know what it is. So, yeah, lay it out for me like I'm a year 9 student going, why am I doing this course? Talk us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about epigenetics, epi itself is Latin for above. And genetics, we're talking about our genes. So our genes are sections of our DNA. They have information in these sections that pretty much code for our physical and biological traits, right? We get those physical and biological traits from our mum and our dads. And epi sits above those genes. So what we originally thought, you've got your genes, your set code of information, and that's it. It could be good, could be not so good. People with risk genetics might worry that, I've got this set of genes, I'm just doomed. Like your genes are definitely not your destiny. When it comes to epigenetics, it's a study of how our behaviors and our environment can change the expression of that gene without actually altering the genetic material itself. So it's really such a fascinating space because we now know the behavior and the environment. So when we think of those, we think, okay, what are the inputs? Our food, our thoughts, our exercise, our exposure to environmental toxins, all these things are informing our genome and epigenetically changing the way that some of these genes may function for better and for worse. And understanding that puts a lot more ownership on ourselves to provide the right environment, the right thoughts, the right exercise to try and get the best expression, because we know all those really positive diet and lifestyle changes tend to have a more favorable expression. And through the genetics and the epigenetic coaching that we do, we can actually target specific genetic SNPs that might be a little bit problematic. And then we look at, is there a way to kind of cover that up in a sense so that it's not read to express negatively? What could we do there? Could we take a specific supplement is known to be effective at suppressing or putting like a little Band-Aid over that? That's through a process called methylation, where little stamps are put on that gene section. So some of it is read and expressed, others are not read. And it becomes such a fascinating world where we can start to manipulate some of the expressions of these so they're more favorable for us. So in a really simple way, epigenetics is just how our gene expression can be changed as a result of our behaviors and the environment.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I feel like I'm in a science class all over again.
I try not to be too scientific. The way is, just understand that like your genes aren't your destiny. You can bring out really favorable expressions and better health outcomes by focusing on all the things that we know we should be doing. Moderate exercise regularly, not sitting down too long, thinking better thoughts, not stressing too much, really making a point of tidying up all the things that we have in our environment that are making us toxic and unwell, because we know drinking out of plastic bottles and wrapping things in plastic and foil are just loading our food and our drink with these toxins that are targeting and they're known impactors and endocrine disruptors, but also on our genetic material, right? Like they're affecting the way our genes are expressing negatively. So there's a lot we can do to just get healthier through better gene expression.
Yeah. So how do we work out which genes that we need to work on? Like where we first met, you had some genetic testing kits. Is this what genetic testing kits are used for, to kind of work out what's going on at our DNA structure and then work out where we can focus our energies on?
Yeah, absolutely right, Simon. So in the Chris Barnes Wellness programs, we offer a unique genetic test which goes through all the aspects of your health and genetics, from diet, sleep, detox, hormone optimization, inflammation, sensitivities to dairy and gluten and grains, all the things that people have a lot of issues with, the types of foods they eat, or not understanding why they eat something and just flare up, or they eat something and they just have immense weight gain, because there's all these slight genetic variations that need to be supported uniquely for you, because we're not all the same. A one-size-fits-all approach is just not right. There's a lot of universal things that can support, like better exercise, better sleep and things. But then when we really kind of dial down, there are unique variations in people that make them more susceptible to issues if they eat too much saturated fat or seed oils, or that some people tolerate them differently, or not enough carbohydrates. And other people if they eat too many carbs, their cholesterol ratios go through the roof. So we can really identify a lot of these aspects based on genetics and then provide a better environment for the client, which is really unique and specific to them. And we find that doing that, it just helps them have a better understanding of themselves and the types of things that will help them flourish and thrive, but also just avoid any potential risk factors, because so many people don't understand this. They eat against their genetics for their whole life and then get to their 40s and 50s and their body's inflamed and they've got pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes and leaky gut and leaky brain and brain fog, and they're toxic. And then like, wow, what's wrong? And then we start to go through and go, okay, yep, these are all the little propensities based on your genetics. And it takes a lot longer to shift it. It's never too late to start, but we know that starting sooner is far more favorable, both from just supporting your health and your system, but also when it comes to the epigenetic changes with the aging and reversing that, and the issues that come with inflammation and health risk. If we start to correct those early, it's far more favorable than doing it when you're 70 or 80 and trying to turn all that damage around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can attest to that brain fog, for example. For years and years and years, I had this brain fog attributing to things like mental illness. I've got a long history of that. And some of my genes, I'm thinking back through the generations of my family and going, okay, yeah, I can see this, can see this, can see this. Two things that I've done in the last few months who have started to switch things around is one is gave up the booze, so on my 40th. The other thing I've been doing is intermittent fasting. So I've heard there's some great benefits for lifting the brain fog on that. And I didn't think I could do both of these things because I'd get to the weekend and I'd really be craving a beer, for example, using it to relax and de-stress. But what it was doing was it just continued the brain fog and continued the depression, continued the anxiety. But then the intermittent fasting, I didn't think I could do that as well because I had that standard Australian diet of wake up, have my cereal, have my coffee every day. And I remember every day I'd wake up absolutely ravenous, like ready to just eat the house down. And I always just used to say that breakfast was my favorite meal of the day. But I've been doing this fasting thing for a couple of months now, and I've got more energy. I don't get hungry in the mornings now. I can always get to lunchtime. And I start my fasting window around 8 o'clock the night before. So I can get from 8 o'clock to roughly about 10, 11 o'clock the next day. I'm losing weight. My brain fog is still there, but it's not as heavy as it used to be. I've got more energy. The surfing's helping as well. But just doing these two basic things, I feel like at a cellular level, I just feel a little bit younger than 40, maybe 39 and a half or something like that. And so just changing small things, changing those environments, changing our habits can have a big effect on us. So we mentioned another buzzword before, bio. How does this come into epigenetics and doing the DNA testing or the genetic testing? Talk us through that as well. I'm interested.
Absolutely, mate. And congratulations on kicking the alcohol, because it is really such a habitual drug. It is a drug that we have, and we've all grown up. I barely drink these days. I just don't have the desire. It actually doesn't sit well with me anymore. It just, really puts a strain on my liver. And it's a known poison, right? And it's one of the key factors in accelerating aging as well. So if you're drinking alcohol every day, every night, for months and months and months, you're going to prematurely age your system. There's no doubt. Like the data's there. So it's a huge effort for you to do that. And also the intermittent fasting. Welcome to the world of biohacking.
I'm already in it. Yes.
In essence, like you're taking the ownership on yourself to change your biology, your physiology. And in essence, that's what we do as a biohacker, right? Like we explore the different avenues and potentials to bring out better physiological changes, better biological changes in ourselves. And you're intuitive. You're seeing kind of what's working for you, what's not working. And in a sense, like I do that so much with different supplements, try things. Does it work? Does it not work? Does it tip me over? Does it make me worse? All in a pursuit of bringing out better clarity, better function, better gut health, lowering inflammation, supporting my microbiome. So there's so many different aspects of that. And it's so interlinked with what we do with the genetics, because the genetics and the genes are, coding for proteins to bring about a physiological change. We can take things like peptides that act on those mechanisms to release proteins, to release growth hormone in our body, which just has a whole systemic effect on longevity, right? Or pidolon, which is another longevity peptide, which can help target so many aspects of our organ system, but in particular, like the aging process, right? Like our telomeres, it can kind of slow down the shortening of those telomeres, which is a known vehicle mechanism in the aging process. So biohacking, in a sense, like we're using these therapeutics and wearables like tech. I wear my Aura ring to kind of hack my sleep, in a sense, to find out how much REM sleep I'm getting, how much deep sleep, and my heart rate variability, which is really linked with nervous system health and heart health. So incorporating all these gadgets and supplements and things in the pursuit of just bringing out our best genetic expression, our best physiological expression for ourselves. And it's a fun space, right? Like you take the ownership on yourself to start to heal yourself, to optimize yourself, not somebody else, because it's all on us, right? Like I think this was one of the things I learned early on in my holistic health studies, that we heal ourselves. Like we go to healers and practitioners, and it's really important that we don't hand over the power to them to heal us. They support the process, and there's definitely a quantum entanglement in that relationship that's so important. But ultimately, we're healing ourselves with the support and the insights that they can help us have. So at the root, hacking is just bringing out that best biological expression through all those different avenues: intermittent fasting, cold plunge, breath work, meditation, types of certain diets, keto if you're following keto, or paleo, whatever is suited to your genome, because they're not all right for everybody. And your intermittent fasting, and fasting is a known vehicle to slow down the aging process and lengthen health span and lifespan as well. So that's really awesome.
It's awesome to hear that I'm already biohacked myself. I'm a hacker now. I love it. I'm interested, we're in our 40s and I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't have as much hair. I'm just waiting for this biohack to work on increasing my hair growth, particularly the back of my head, which my kids keep pointing. But I'm interested, why is this important for men to tune into? Like, what is the benefits for men tuning in? In the therapy space where I work, it's trying to get guys in the door and be vulnerable, be open, and explore different ways of just working on their mental health, which then works on their holistic health. From your perspective in the epigenetic space and the biohacking space, why is this important for men to tune into and get on board with?
It's absolutely essential, mate. Like you mentioned, the vulnerability for men, and for so long, I think, yes, a lot of guys go to the gym and they train, they want to look and feel strong, but it hasn't really always extended beyond that, right? Like guys need to really take better care of themselves, diet, holistic approach, doing all these other things, right? Because if you're just going to the pub and drinking too much alcohol and smoking too much, it's going to cause unfavorable expressions in your genes. Some people are very fortunate. They have a set of genes where they can tolerate the bombardment of alcohol and smoking and partying and all these kind of things for a long time. But majority of people aren't that privileged, right? So it's so important that men really kind of just take the ownership on themselves to provide better diet, lifestyle habits, and habitual behaviors so that they are healthy and thriving. If they are dads, it's not just about them anymore, right? It's about their kids, it's about their wife. And so I see how much my girls and my boy, they just resonate to the dads and to the mums. And for them not to have mums and dads around for a long time to experience and to grow with, I think it's just such a shame. So we need to start doing the work now. 40 is so young. If you can start in your 30s, great. But at 40, I'm 42 this year. And I used to look at my dad, I still remember his 40th going, man, you're old. But now, I still feel so young. And that just shows the timelessness of our spirit, right? Our soul, if you call it that. Like our physical body does age, but we can slow that down now. And we can do so much to slow that down and keep it strong so that we step up and we're that kind of beacon for our families to aspire to. And it's so important for our children to see that, right? And to model that behavior, to see your dad out there going for a run or going for a surf or being fit and vital, eating good food, cooking up healthy meals, respecting your body, right? Like it's a level of respect, I think, that is so influential. Like we get our kids involved in the cooking process and they're cooking real food, and they may not have the biggest awareness of how important that real food is now, but I know it's imprinting. And it'd be different to just going and buying fast food every night and eating ice cream every night. There's a place for that, don't get me wrong. But we just have to create that right space as men so that we can live and grow and thrive